Hey, fellow Arizonans, I have a question for you. Do you know or do you understand how expensive it can be to buy cheap life insurance? Now, what do I mean by that? Because it sounds kind of contradictory, right? Let me unpack it a little bit for you. But first, let's understand the pricing model that these online quote calculators dish out, because you may or may not realize what's going on. So, if you're in the market for life insurance, you probably have seen there's tons of different places you can go to get quick, fast, free quotes, right? And they spit out a number. Well, first of all, you may not even qualify. They didn't do adequate underwriting to determine qualifications. You could get all excited about this really cheap price and you don't even qualify. That's their business model because they'll sift through the ones that will qualify and they'll get back in touch with them. In fact, a few days ago, I filled out one of those forms just out of curiosity and I put in some conditions that I don't have, but was just seeing what they would do. I never heard back from anybody. Nobody emailed, nobody called, nobody texted. So they sift through and they kind of cherry pick the people they want to work with, which I don't think is fair. But besides that, it's an automated, systemized, algorithmic quote that just really doesn't mean anything. There's no strategy. You didn't talk about it with somebody. You didn't sit down with them and go through a rationale behind the recommendations. It's just the system just threw something out. Oh, here's a number. It's $50 a month or whatever it is. And you're like, oh, okay. What do I do with that? Well, I don't know. It doesn't really mean anything. And that's the problem with these online quote calculators. That's the problem with cheap insurance, right? So how could cheap insurance cost you more? Well, it'd be easy to get into the wrong kind of a policy. Now, there's policies that have what's called living benefits. So that's one of the things that I specialize in. And if you were to get a death benefit product that pays out if you die, that's great. But you're missing out on a much, much more likely scenario, and that is you don't die. So let's say you got cancer, you had a heart attack, you had a stroke. How expensive are those things? And how much would it have cost you to not have a policy that pays out if you had one of those things happen to you? How much now do you have to pay out of pocket? Do you see how expensive it could get to get the wrong policy? Well, what if your policy goes up? What if at the first 5 years it's locked in, but then the rates are going to go up or the death benefit's going to go down? Or what if you're in a policy that you thought had cash value or paid out any form of death, but it only pays out certain forms of accidents, on and on and on. In fact, this could even cost you as well. Here's another way it could cost you, and that is when you go through the blood work. I don't know if you know this or not, but everything gets reported onto what's called the Medical Information Bureau. So if you get fully underwritten, get a full medical policy, the MIB gets all that data. All the insurance carriers can now have access to it. These are things that agents aren't usually telling their clients. And there's certainly things you're not learning through an online quote calculator. So bottom line is this. Insurance carriers, they're kind of like gas stations with their pricing. It's going to be a little bit different from place to place. But everybody's always excited about the cheapest price. Well, I don't mind you getting the least expensive that we can get. But don't go for cheap. The process can't be cheap. The insurance carriers shouldn't be cheap. And certainly the price, we want less expensive that we can get, but don't go for cheap because you might do yourself a huge disservice. And you might put your family in a really tough spot if they go to cash out your policy and they find out it's not what they think. So instead, work with somebody that knows and can recommend, and that's what I do. My office is here in Queen Creek. I service all over in this beautiful state of Arizona, and I love helping people understand life insurance. One of the most important documents you will ever own. Let's make sure we get it right. But here's the thing, you're probably like most people, and I get it. I don't want to spend an hour on the phone with somebody. I don't want somebody to sell me on something. I don't want that either. And I wouldn't want that for you. So it's not how I work. Here's what I do. And this is different than anybody else out there on the market. You fill out my form, click on Get Quote, and it's going to go through and ask you questions like everybody else. But you're going to get a fast, free, and personalized response. And here's where I'm different. I'll take all your information, I'll digest it, I'll run quotes on a lot of different insurance carriers, I'll figure out the best strategies, the best rationale behind those strategies, and I will record for you a video response. You can then watch it, you can hear my questions and see what I'm thinking and see the pricing, everything that I recommend, and if you're interested, we can get back on the phone and we can talk then. So it's a way for us to have, or for you to get a personalized response, not just some quote calculator algorithm number that gets spit out of their system that really doesn't mean anything. And I'm just very passionate about getting people in the right product. So fill out the form, click Get Quote. Let me help you navigate the confusing waters of insurance. And never forget, your life matters. Your life matters. Let's get this right. Again, it's one of the most important documents that you'll ever own. I love helping people understand life insurance. And I look forward to hearing from you and recording a personalized video response, unlike you'll get from any of those other quote calculators. Have an amazing day. Bye.